So the reason we use tropical propagation in the zoo is we select cutting material from a named plant, so that's the genus using the species or a cultivar, making sure the cutting material is clean, free from pest and disease, making sure that the plant material looks okay. It's not the plant's not dry. It's making sure it's turgid, and then we select the cutting material, making sure the plant is labelled correctly. So when we come to the propagation stage, we know what the plant is. The tools that are required for propagating tropical plant material so we need a sharp knife, sharp pair of secateurs, you need the plant material that we're going to select, you need peat-free compost or organic matter that could be used within the compost. We need a cell or a seed tray and a propagation environment, like a propagation unit or a frame of some sort. We bring the cuttings into the nursery, and then with a knife or a pair of secateurs, generally we decide how big the cutting is going to be, and we generally cut just under a node, and that's generally where the plants will root. And we make sure all the cuttings are uniforms, making sure all the same length, that sort of stuff. And then we water the seed tray. So once the cuttings have been prepared, we then insert into a seed tray or a cell with our peat-free compost, making sure that the compost is watered and it's well drained. So when we insert the cuttings, we've got to make sure we don't put the cuttings too deep. And also we've got to make sure the cuttings aren't put in not enough. So it's a balancing act really. It's just making sure the cutting goes probably about halfway down the seed tray or halfway down the cell. Once we insert the cuttings, we then put the cuttings into a growing environment, like a propagator. And then the cuttings during the next few weeks, they'll be maintained, so making sure they're watered enough, they're not overwatered, making sure we don't have any pest issues, which then can be treated if it's needed. A few weeks later, the roots will then come through the bottom of the seed tray, or the cells, and at that point we actually take them off the propagation units, and we then put into a more of a drier environment where they can then grow on and they'll be potted on. Yeah, so the challenge with particularly the stock plant material before we take the cuttings is making sure those plants are kept clean. So when we then come to select the cutting material, we're making sure the cutting material then is cleaned. And then once the material is within the environment, making sure again we have to keep our eye on making sure plant material is clean. We don't release any pest and disease spreading into other crops.